you thought they loved you, and maybe, in their own way, they did, for a moment. But here's what nobody told you. A narcissist doesn't fall in love with you. They fall in love with what you reflect back at them. The admiration, the attention, the way you made them feel powerful, special, chosen. And the moment you stopped being that mirror, the moment you had needs or boundaries or a bad day, something shifted. Suddenly, you weren't the person they adored. You were an obstacle. This isn't about you being not enough. This is about understanding what they were actually looking for. And by the end of this video, you're going to see it clearly, and you'll never unsee it. In this video, we're going to break down exactly what a narcissist is actually seeking, why they target specific types of people, and what happens inside them when the supply runs out. This is the psychology most people never learn until after the damage is done. Welcome to MindFrame Lab, where we decode the hidden forces behind human behavior. There's a term in psychology that explains almost everything about how a narcissist operates. It's called narcissistic supply. And understanding this concept is going to reframe everything you thought you knew about the relationship. Narcissistic supply is the emotional fuel that a narcissist depends on to maintain their sense of self. Admiration, validation, control, envy, fear, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. What matters is that it comes from you, that you react, that you're focused on them. Think of it this way. Imagine someone who can only see themselves clearly when they look in a mirror. Without the mirror, they feel like they're disappearing, like they don't quite exist. That's what you were. Not a partner, a mirror, and the terrifying part? They didn't choose you because you were weak. They chose you because you were a strong, empathetic, caring, the kind of person who gives generously and assumes others do too. Those qualities, your kindness, your loyalty, your desire to make things work, those were exactly what they needed, a constant, reliable source of reflection. But here's what I want you to stay for, because the next part explains why it always falls apart. And it's not what most people think. Here's the thing about a supply. It has a shelf life. In the beginning, you were new. You were impressed by them. You hadn't yet seen the cracks. You gave freely your time, your attention, your admiration, without even realizing it was being consumed. That phase is called idealization, and it feels incredible. They make you feel like the most important person in the world, like they finally found the one person who truly gets them. But idealization is a trap, because it's not really about you. It's about what you represent in that moment, a fresh, unlimited source of supply, and over time, something inevitable happens. You start to become real to them. You have opinions they don't agree with. You have needs that inconvenience them. You see through the facade, even just slightly, and something in your energy shifts. And the narcissist feels it. Not because they're perceptive about others, they're not, but because they're exquisitely sensitive to any reduction in supply. So they do what they always do when supply starts to drop. They destabilize you. Criticism, withdrawal, hot and cold, making you feel like you're the problem. Like if you could just go back to being the person you were at the beginning, everything would be fine. And many people try. They contort themselves. They apologize for things they didn't do. They give more, love harder, shrink smaller, and for a while, it works. Their supply flows again, but it never lasts. Stay with me, because what comes next is the part that most survivors say finally made everything click. Here's what most people miss about narcissism. Underneath all the confidence, the grandiosity, the control, there's a profound emptiness. Psychologists describe narcissistic personality as a fragile self-esteem that requires constant external validation to stay intact. Without that validation, the whole structure collapses. That's why they can never just be. They always need an audience, always need to be the smartest, the most successful, the most wrong. The emotion doesn't matter as long as it's about them. And here's the painful irony: no amount of love you give them will ever fill that void, because the void isn't about you. It was there long before you arrived, and it will be there long after you leave. This is why so many people in these relationships feel like they're endlessly pouring into something that never fills up. Like no matter how much they give, it's never enough, because it isn't. Not because of a failure on your part, but because the container has no bottom. Now, I need to tell you something important, because understanding the next part is what separates people who break the cycle from people who keep ending up back in it. One of the most common questions people ask after a narcissistic relationship is, why did I keep going back? And the answer is uncomfortable, but it's also freeing. You went back because the relationship was designed to keep you there. Not consciously in most cases. Narcissists aren't masterminds plotting your destruction, but their behavior creates a psychological trap that's almost impossible to escape without understanding it. It works like this. The idealization phase floods your brain with dopamine, the same chemical triggered by gambling, by drugs, by anything unpredictable and rewarding. Then the devaluation creates anxiety and withdrawal. And then, just when you're at your lowest, they give you a glimpse of the person you fell in love with, a moment of warmth, an apology, a return to the beginning. And your brain, starving for that dopamine hit, responds exactly as it was conditioned to respond. It says, stay, try harder, don't give up on this. That cycle, idealize, devalue, discard, hoover, is not a sign that the relationship is salvageable. It's a sign that you're caught in a loop. Breaking out of that loop starts with one thing: understanding that you cannot heal someone who doesn't believe they're broken. You cannot love someone into becoming safe, and you cannot keep sacrificing yourself hoping that one day, finally, it will be enough. It won't be. Not because you're not enough, because they are not capable. And that distinction between not enough and not capable is one of the most important things you'll ever understand about yourself and about them. You came into this video wondering why someone who claimed to love you could treat you the way they did. Now you have the answer. They weren't loving you. They were using you. Not out of malice necessarily, but out of an emptiness so deep they didn't even know it was there. That knowledge doesn't erase the pain, but it does something else. It removes the question that kept you up at night. The one that said, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? You didn't do anything wrong. You were exactly who you are, generous, loving, real, and that was never the problem. If you're the kind of person who wants to understand why people do what they do, the psychology beneath the surface, the patterns that drive human behavior, this channel is built for you. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because sometimes the most important thing we can do for someone we care about is hand them the words for what they've been living.